Hey, the Unholy Diver, how's it going? We are just getting set up here. I'm going to be working on some stuff tonight. Probably working on the last part of the security engineering course. I still need to record Unit 9, but we did have the Unit 9 meeting last week. So let me pop this up here. I got a new little thing that I built. I think that's kind of fun. However, it seems like with the sound. Hold on, let me turn this music off. Is it not going to work? Hold on. Oh, wait, am I on? Yeah, I'm on streaming test. Oh, we got to go off studio mode for that to work. Okay, there it goes. It works better with studio mode off. All right, so what am I doing today then? I am working on getting stuff set up for the next version, the next week of the course. Now you might note, well, I also got to save. Let's go look on here. And we'll go make a new security engineering unit 9. Let's throw this up here on unit 9. Oh, sorry, this will be unit 10. We already did unit 9. And we'll save it in here as week 10. And we're going to start carving this one up as well to be the last of the security engineering courses that we're going to be going over tomorrow. So. Unholy Dive, you said, I'm not sure if you asked this before. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me put the music back on. I want to make sure that this works with the music on. Hold on. Okay, it should still work. Okay, good. Yeah, so you asked about what do I think about RHEL, specifically Fedora for jobs and general learning Linux at large scale. I would say that that's probably the best thing you can do with your time. The difference there being if you're or I guess the distinction there that I would make between the different versions of Linux is Red Hat's going to be the one that you're going to find the most readily. If you look up jobs and then, you just go on DICE or something and look at Linux jobs, I would say probably 85% of them are going to mention Red Hat. So if you're working with Fedora or one of these other versions, Rocky or Alma, you're still going to be doing something that's derived from that. And I think you're still going to find that that is a very... I think you'll find that it's pretty well aligned with the things that you would be doing there. So, Mirage said, "Do I have any template or formatting for creating a doc of technical writing?" No, I mean it depends what I'm doing. I use a tool called Confluence. Have you guys ever seen a tool called Confluence? And they kind of have they're from Atlassian. My company pays for this, so they've kind of got I'm not going to do all that stuff. They've got some kind of the basic little templating stuff that I use in there, but a lot of the stuff I write is in a basic Markdown. Probably most of the stuff. If you're talking technical stuff outside, when I do training and stuff, I mostly just keep pumping over my same PowerPoints and just reorganizing them. I always follow a format as a teacher. I always follow the same format. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you just told them. That's always my format for anything. So, you guys might have noticed that I'm a penguin today. I think that's kind of funny. So turning that thing on, that was a little thing that I built today. That was kind of funny. Pretty easy in OBS Studio. Probably I'd say takes about 10 minutes. Just need a couple images, and then you just flip them. So, yeah, Obsidian's good. I use a few different notes. So you guys that are so if the question is how do I get stuff, hold on. So if the question is this is a different answer. If the question is, Scott, you're doing something in your jump box, right? You're in your home jump box here, and you're doing something. Right, so in my home box, I tend to have 3 levels of note-taking that happen in my system. Now, you won't always see me do this in the home lab, just so you guys know. You might look at me in the home lab and go, Scott, you're not always recording. That is true. But typically, you would see me do a screen, and then you would see me throw it out to a log, right? So I'm just going to do a screen-R and reconnect to this one. And then that would be kind of my rawest, most basic level of note taking. So if somebody were to say, hey, Scott, can you go up here and show all the commands that you showed the other day and what the outputs were as you were talking through. This was us doing a follow as we were doing a tail-f on varlog werewolf d as werewolf was restarting one of the nodes, or as one of the nodes was restarting, and we were watching it pull its image and do all that stuff. And then we were looking at the definition of all the node images, and then we were drilling in on just the definition of one node image with all of its tags, right? All of its data tags. So this, excuse me, this is my like level 1 engineering right here. This is like my level 1 as I'm taking notes as I'm doing like real professional work, right? Then when I'm ready for like a list of commands or things that I did, I will pull things out and I will put them in typically a tool like Notepad. And you guys have seen me use Notepad. Some of you have seen me use this on stream here. And like this was me even yesterday. I was on here and I was adding these are for the book, right? For the Prolog book that we have up on LeanPub. These are my updated notes for the different labs that we've been working on. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. And that's super annoying that it does that, where it jumps the whole thing up. But anyways, and then I pull things out and I put them over here, as this is kind of like a scratch space. So this is the highest, this is like the closest to the system, the most raw notes that I build right here. I let the system log what I'm doing, right? I always have history. I can always, oh my God, if I could type. Right, and I can see all the wwctl node commands, or maybe if I wanted to see all my Ansible commands, right? I can see them, but even more than that, I could go up the page, right? Because screen lets you go back 20,000 lines or whatever, you configure it. And I could go all the way back and say, well, but this is actually what the output was, because maybe I want to show the output of something. And I say, hey, when you see all this information about Rocky 3, the most important thing for you to understand is that that system has to coincide with this MAC address that is configured for Werewolf to be able to iPXE boot that system properly. Like this may be a thing that I do or talk about or whatever, but maybe I want to pull all this out and throw it in my notes. This is my level 1 note taking right here. Is the system logs all notes. Everything Scott does, tracked. Right? Everything Het does, tracked. But when I'm paring it down, there's like a scratch space intermediary that I make, and that's this over here. And this was actually notes that I was doing the other day. Some of you guys were probably watching. And I was over here on stream, and I was doing the labs on the left. And I was asking myself questions and doing stuff over here on the right. In fact, I might do a little bit of this tonight. I'm going to be on for a while tonight. Me and the wife hung out earlier. We went to Texas Roadhouse, and then we were hanging out. And she wants to go grab some. She's going to grab me like a milkshake or something here in a little bit. So then she's going to hang in here and play games, and I'm going to just hang out and talk to you guys. And maybe every now and then she'll yell over my shoulder and tell you guys about, being in the industry, because she's also a help desk person. She's been a help desk person longer than I've been a Linux person, so that's kind of wild. In fact, she's only about 4 years. My wife's only about 4 years from retiring, so if you guys didn't know that. I actually am not sure if Texas Roadhouse has, which one has the blooming onion? Is that Outback? I think Texas has something similar, but we did, well, I'll tell you what we had today if you want to know. Me and the wife shared fried pickles. We thought that sounded good. Yeah, I think it's Outback. Yeah. Texas Roadhouse also opens at 2, which I thought as a steak place it would open a little later. So what happened was, then I ordered, they got this little thing that they do like a fillet of chicken, so like a chicken breast, and then a steak, and then you get 2 sides. So that's what I got. And then my stuff for the, my sides were chili and applesauce. And then my wife got just a regular steak, and she got a baked potato and, what was the other thing she had? I couldn't tell you. I don't remember. She had a salad. That was the other thing. She yelled from the other room. She got a salad, so that's kind of good. Because they make their croutons fresh there, so there was that. So she likes that. So we were hanging out and doing that. 2FA, you said, last night I saw basically going through and understanding the bash commands and understanding how the band, watching the stream and seeing you use piping and stuff, like learn the simple greps and so on and so forth. But watching you do stuff is quite intriguing. Interesting, yeah. I mean, look, guys, this is what I do professionally, so I try to show you guys how to do it professionally as well. The bloomin' onion sounds like a cuss word. That's actually funny, Xenium. Also, Xenium, it's been a while, man. Thanks for coming back by. You might see that as of tonight, I'm a little angry penguin that's studying and yelling at you guys. I will probably be that every now and then just for fun. And also because I think it's funny that he has his mouth open and his arm up when I'm talking, and he puts it down when I'm not, which I think is hilarious. All right. Anyway, so back over here. The question I was asked was about notes, right? And how I take notes. Guys, I am probably one of the last people that I would think anybody, like I tell you guys all the time, man, like if you were to watch me throughout the normal day, you'd probably be like, man, I don't know how this guy gets anything done. It's just a madness. Like there's just, but it is being recorded in my shell, so I can always go look things up. I do pull things out as I'm kind of ready, and then these things have to be fixed up before they go into like a final format. And then my final format are a lot of times for customers Confluence. Again, my company pays for that, so I have Atlassian Confluence. And then if it's not this, right, if it was for you guys, like for the people doing our professional Linux users group stuff, then I would be over here in like in this. And now I'm in, this is Linux Security Engineering 10. And then I have to go reopen 9 now. So let me go, hold on, let me go reopen 9. Where is he at? I think this is week 9, yeah. So here, so I'll put 9 here and then 10. And what we do, or what I do then, is I kind of start to make it, I kind of etch it out into its final form, right? So this is Unit 9, Security. We're talking about, this was the 9th class meeting. I have not yet recorded this one, so this one actually still has to get recorded. Probably do it tomorrow sometime. And then we talked about the week before, and then this week what we were talking about, and then the overview of what is encryption, how is symmetric and asymmetric encryption involved. I need to... I need to do this. What is identity? And then how do we establish identity? That's something that I have not talked about with the group yet either, so I have to add those components, right? So this is all stuff to kind of add and make a little better. So, but then the original question was, what do I do to kind of get ready, and what is my note-taking process? Again, it's very raw over here in the system, and then it's like kind of an intermediary scratch space, and then as I'm presenting or getting ready to do those things, I get them over here and keep them, hopefully don't lose all the work like I did the other day. That was really annoying. Sometimes when I'm drawing things, I use a tool called Excalidraw. I love Excalidraw for drawing things. If you wanted to know, like, hey, Scott, what's the simple communication model? And I said, well, this is a simple communication model. I've been showing this to college students for the entire, 17 years, it's almost 17 years that I've been teaching. And, this is the 5 components of a message, or it's 5 components of communication that must be there for this to work, right? And then I walk through it all or whatever. 2FA said, what is Ansible? I know I can ask about it, but I've not got into using the shells and stuff. So what Ansible is, this is Ansible in a nutshell, right? It is a tool, Ansible-V. It's a tool that sits on your system. Let's just do it like that, -- version. And it uses Python and typically SSH connections, but can be other things if you wanted it to connect to a bunch of different systems that are in an inventory. And then those inventories are broken up into host groups. And then we can go ahead and drop in work blocks as either configurations of an ad hoc nature where I can just do things one-off, or I can run whole playbooks against things. So let's look real quick at how some of this might work. Xshunya is right. Like, Ansible's great. So let's just say real quick that if I were to cat out etc Ansible hosts in my system, I have this support node, who he's down right now, so we're not going to use him. I have Rocky nodes, which are defined as Rocky 1 through 19. I've got Hammer nodes, which are defined as 1 through 25. So Hammers 1 through 25. And then I have servers, which are defined as all the children of those 2 host groups of Rocky and Hammer. So this is, 44 nodes or whatever. So then I can just come over here and I can say Ansible, and I could just do an ad hoc command against that base inventory, but that's already there. And the module maybe that I want to use, let's say that we want to hit just the Rocky nodes. And the module I'm going to use is shell, and the argument I'm going to give shell is uptime. And I can go hit all of my nodes real quick for uptime and see if they're up, if they're responding, Some of these nodes have been up for longer than my nodes normally are in my environment. So 2FA, no, the deleting, so it was a totally different thing that was happening. If you're talking about like the streamer interaction stuff I was running the other day, where I was letting people send stuff into my system, this was a completely different process. It didn't use Ansible at all. No, it was using, there was a whole bunch of other things going on that day. And I could turn that on if people wanted to see that. But on just the Ansible part, it's me in one system. Let's say me in some centralized jump box. In this case, I happen to be in my Werewolf box. And I can hit all of my nodes. And when I say hit all of my nodes, I can send remote commands to execute over there and come back. In this case, I used what's called an ad hoc mode. Ad hoc mode is just, it's like a la carte. I can say, I just want to give this one command of uptime, right? And they'll do uptime against all the machines, and I'll see that they're all up, and none of them have been rebooted, and that's awesome. But then I can get like way more complex. I can come out. Let's jump out of there. Actually, let me see if I have any. I don't think I have any actual playbooks written here, so I'm going to jump into one of my other systems and show you guys like one of my normal, like this is my actual home lab here. Cat, Etsy, Ansible. Hosts here are going to be a little different because this is my actual home lab. And here I can hit all the Rocky boxes and I can hit all the hammer boxes. Look, I can be very explicit about the names like this, or I can be very efficient like this. I could do either. But maybe I want to go check all my prod K8s boxes. I think those ones are going to make me change the password. Hold on real quick. Let me go check real quick. Is it going to ask me for a password? No? Okay, good. So my keys are up for that. So maybe I want to check my prod environment, make sure that my prod environment is doing kind of what I expect it to. So I may say Ansible, again, prod K8s. And then that's the host group right here that I'm using. And then I might say -m shell, -a, and again, maybe here, I don't want to do uptime. I want to do systemctl status for kubelet. I know kubelet needs to be running for Ansible to be, or for Kubernetes to be working in my home lab. So I'm going to go hit all of those nodes. It's going to be a little bit bigger output, right? But we're still just doing ad hoc commands. Ad hoc commands look like this. Let's see if I can hit them all real quick. Some CTL status cube. Oh, I want to help if I spelled kubelet right. Kubelet. All right, so all of them came back. Now kubelet's running, kubelet's running, kubelet's running, and it gave us a whole bunch of other stuff. But I'm not really worried about all that other stuff. I'm just happy that kubelet's running on all my boxes. And that's okay. That's an okay way to do things. But what if I wanted to patch all my servers in my environment? Now I would use something like a playbook. So I'm going to go over to root, so Ansible, and then in here, let's go to my patching. Let's see what my site.yaml says. So this is going to go host CentOS 7 and CentOS 8. That's what I used to have in my environment if I wanted to patch. But let's say that I'm going to update this real quick for the purposes of this conversation right here. And for the purposes of this conversation, I'm going to add this, and I'm going to use survey host. This is a generic name of a variable that I just made up for right now. It doesn't matter. And then we're going to call the patch, the reboot, and the final validation. But let's go ahead and, before we do any of that, let's go look at each of those roles. So we go down into roles, and we see patch and reboot and final validation. So let's cd into patch real quick. And then in here, we'll see tasks. And in here, we've got this main.yaml, which is going to have, if we use patching, if we use the tag -patching, this is going to patch our servers. And what is that going to do? That's going to look like this. It's going to back up the original yum.conf if that node is using yum. Then it's going to copy in this line if it needs to. If I had excluded anything, it's going to take away the exclude. And then it's going to patch everything in that environment, right? And then it comes down here, and we're going to restore the original yum.conf because sometimes I have things locked in my environment that I want to be there. But what you're seeing here is you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 modules being called here. Well, a copy module, an Ansible built-in line and file module, a Yum module, and then a copy module. So there's 3 different modules, but 4 tasks that are happening inside of this play that will patch my lab environment for me. Exxon, you said the new Red Hat has a lot of post-quantum security things. Are they important for today? I'll tell you, I think still knowing the basics of security is going to still help. Understanding where things fit into keeping things confidential, keeping things working and their integrity, and then also maybe the availability and uptime of things as your priorities. I kind of feel like the best way I can put that for you is instead of worrying about all the things in the future, I would think of it like if you guys have ever seen the movie Gladiator where they're doing the Battle of Carthage and they're about to get destroyed by the chariots and stuff. And if you remember, Marcus Aurelius says, if we all stay together, we've got a much better chance to survive, right? So they all stay together and they form and they toss over and they kill all the guys that were going to kill them. And then the guy leans over and says, help me on my history. Were they supposed to lose that? No, it was supposed to be a very one-sided battle, but they won. Anyways, my point in saying that is it doesn't matter what we should know the types of threats that are out there. I'm not saying we shouldn't know those. What I'm saying is if we are locking our systems down and doing best practices and actively monitoring and checking things, we're going to be the ones on the front lines of stopping those things anyways, right? We're going to see the logs of things coming in, and we're going to see the people doing the attacks or attempting the attacks on our systems, right? So anyways, Exxon, what I would tell you is you don't know what somebody's going to come at you with, right? When you're standing at the gate, blocking and defending your systems as a blue teamer, yeah, ape strong together, I like that. Yeah, it's this idea that we adhere to best practice, we do the right thing, we set our systems up to stop the most common types of things, and then if something does happen, we try to minimize the blast radius. We use zero trust security, so even if you do manage to compromise one of my boxes, it's not that bad. If you guys go and you take over, right? If somebody goes and takes over prolug.org, well, if it doesn't take itself offline from frickin', how embarrassing. It's always getting itself taken offline by AWS, but it'll come up in a second. And let's say you take that down or you take that process over and you find out that that's just over here running on, what was my last SSH? Let's go jump over there real quick. Dash capital A, right? Oh, hold on. Gotta be this user. Right, that's how I have it. And then you see here's my Nginx static pods, right? And you go, okay, well that's kind of cool, Scott. You've been running, actually the most recent one is the one from our most recent deploy, which are these ones. This is the one that's actually up right now there. Yeah, I gotta go change that caching timeout because that caching timeout's what makes it do that. But then, let's say you take over this system. You find out that this is back-ended by these few little pods that are sitting here, right? I think, is there only 2 of them now? Anyways, we go look at them real quick. I think I have it under website, CD. And then I think it's this one here. This one, yeah, this is the most recent one that I deployed. So we go in here, and you see, okay, Scott did this deployment, and he pulled it from this whatever. But then we see that he's got this security stuff happening, where there's a security context where we don't allow privilege escalation, so you can't become root even if you take over the system. And do I have it anywhere else in here? No, I don't have any of my other security. But I could have the user just run as user 1000, which is that would have been Scott, and Scott would have been a fine user. But the Scott user, if we go look at the Scott user. Well, I can't. I'm not even going to do it as that user. I'm locked out. Okay. Sudo -L -U Scott. And then here you would see that. Oh, no, Scott actually does have all the permissions, so we wouldn't want him to be compromised. But so that would be a bad example because I've given Scott all the power. But yeah, we can stop that kind of stuff. So Yeah, 2FA, I mean, like, moving around your terminal like I do is really just about doing this for a long time. I've been doing this stuff for, like, literally forever now. I think it's not even figurative anymore. It's literally. I've been doing Linux for like 22, 20 something. Yeah, long time. Um, but anyway, so yeah, so that was that part of the environment. What was I showing you? Oh, so I was showing you guys. Let's say I wanted to patch this. Let's actually go back out of this and say, okay, I'm down in the system. I've gotten this pretty much the way that I want it, maybe, and then we do our site.yaml, and we validate maybe with maybe we grep this right here from Etsy Ansible hosts. Oops. Hosts in my case, and here's all of my boxes, and maybe I just we can more that file real quick. Let's just do like a head -15 or something. Oops, right here. Boom. Okay, here's my CentOS boxes. So it's going to hit Grafana, AWXN, and FluxDB. Those nodes are all safe for me to hit, so I'm fine with patching all of them. So let's run this real quick. Let's see how CentOS 7 works. Actually, CentOS 7 is going to break fantastically on the patching, but that's fine. So we're going to do one more time. We're going to cat site.yaml, make sure it's all the things we want. Patch, reboot, final validation. Cool. We're going to say Ansible playbook. We're going to give it the inventory file. Actually, we don't need to give it the inventory file. That's the default, right? So that's going to be fine. If we wanted to be very explicit, we could do this. And we could say -i, so our inventory file is going to be Etsy Ansible hosts. Okay? And then the site.yaml is what we're running. But we have to give it extra vars to use survey hosts, right there. Here's survey hosts, some arbitrary value, some just some variable that I made up, right? Actually, one of my buddies, Michael Pessa, made that up. I used to always just use env like this, and he's like, "Come on, let's do survey host because surveys are what you use when you use Ansible Tower, which is now AWX. So that's where that comes from. All right. Anyway, so survey hosts and CentOS 7 because those are the nodes I want to hit. And let's just let that run. Let's go watch how far the playbook makes it before it breaks. Oh, these freaking cows! I forgot that I had put in oh my gosh! All right, where did it break? So, failed on some JSON loading and decoding on patch servers YAML. We weren't able to read it. Oh, so there's something wrong in there. So, where was I at? Down in patch. More.main.yaml and then more of patch servers.yaml. Did I add something stupid in here? Hold on, let's go look. I might have messed around with this. There's that. Name, copy. I don't see anything in here that shouldn't work. I don't think I need. Let's go look real quick. Root Ansible patching, patch task, patch servers YAML. Line 23. Column. Line 23? There's no line 23. That was weird. All right. Well, we're gonna CD back to where we were. And just try we're gonna bang Ansible. So bang will call the last line from your history that looks like this. So we're gonna bang the same line and run it and see if, that doesn't make any sense what happened there on that error. End of stream, the error appears to be root. All right. Well, now it's on line 24. Oh, I already know what it is. Let's go look. Yep. So right here. See how that's a single quote and not a double quote? So all the rest of it was jacked. That was my bad. All right, let's run it. All right, so now this thing's going and it's trying to patch or it's failing or whatever, but now we're going to see that it patches the servers that it can. We can have this, man, Ansible can do so much stuff for you guys. It basically puts a scaffolding around all of the commands that you could have run. So your command set to patch a bunch of servers, like let's say you had 1,000 servers to patch, your command set would look something like this. If it was in Bash, it would be like, okay, I'm going to run a for loop over all these nodes. And the first thing I'm going to do is maybe check that they're all CentOS 7 boxes. Okay, good. And then I'm going to go make sure that they all have, I don't know, proper repos set up. And I can do all these checks, right, inside of there. But I'm just going to tell you, if anything breaks, all of it breaks. Everything breaks in Bash, right? Bash doesn't have the error checking or error handling built in or any of that stuff. And it just fantastically breaks all over the floor. And you're stuck, like, trying to patch all night against 1,000 servers with just for loops. And it's literally, it's like in my nightmares, right? It's terrible. So one of the best things we can do is take a tool like Ansible, and Ansible's like, look, I got you, buddy. I'm going to put the scaffolding up around what we're doing. And you're just going to feed me a list of all these inventories, right? So you're going to have these inventory files, which in our case included InfluxDB, Grafana, and AWX as part of the host group CentOS 7. They just happened to be CentOS 7 boxes, so that's where they were. One of them failed, so he's no longer in the race. He's out. But now we're going to have that tracked all the way to the end, and we're going to know that he failed. We're going to see what worked on him and what didn't. He doesn't have an etsyyum.conf. He might be... I could have sworn he was a CentOS 7 box, but maybe I destroyed his etsyyum.conf at some point. I don't know. But the other nodes are continuing on. And what happens is, as I keep installing more and more of those tasks in those different plays that are being inherited out of these roles, we're building like further and further up the scaffolding as it goes. So when I say scaffolding, has everybody ever seen... You ever seen the scaffolding scene in Rush Hour 2? And they're like climbing up the side of the building like this. And here's all the scaffolding on the outside of the building so people can work on it. And then like Chris Tucker's about to climb up the side of the building and some guy comes falling like 15 stories down because, you know, Jackie Chan kicked him off the side. And he's like, oh, hell no, I'm taking the stairs. So then anyways, that's like this little... That's this little set of images, him crawling up right in there, all fighting or whatever. If you've never seen Rush Hour 2, better go watch it. It's pretty good. But my point is, that's around the outside of what's happening. So then now we can do error checking and we can do corrections and we can do all these other things around this, around what's going on. And you might say, well, no, there's actually some error checking in Bash. Sure. Yeah, sure, there's some error checking in Bash. But not if you're like jumping over and, you're just... what we would call like brute forcing a for loop over a bunch of servers out of a file. No, and then if one server breaks or something breaks, then you got to go track back through where it all failed, and then you have to go get that shorter list out and rerun it after you fix it. It's just a nightmare. With Ansible, we can keep running things over the top and keep excluding more and more nodes that have already patched. We could have something in there at the beginning that checks to see if patching occurred today. And if patching occurred today, we can just tell Ansible to have all those nodes sit it out. So they would barely climb up the scaffolding, they would be done, and only the nodes that we had recently fixed would go through the rest of the patching, right? So there's all kinds of things that we can do. In fact, I've got some logic in here. I'll let that keep running. I'll pop over here real quick, and I'll show you guys some of the logic in here. So root, Ansible, patching. One of the things down in roles where we go to the reboot, right? So when we get to the reboot section, how do we reboot servers? Well, we can set facts on the server. So setting a fact on a server in Ansible, I always tell people, like, Ansible's kind of moving down a trail from point A to point B. And the whole time, he's throwing everything he knows about a server, every collected variable, in a sack in his back. He's like carried a little sack over his shoulder. And one of the things we're doing right here is every server that makes it to this point, as they pass through this, we set if you want to think of it as we put a little flag on them, or if you want to think of it as what it really is, which is we're setting a variable for that node that Ansible now remembers for the rest of the playbook. And here's what we're doing. Kernel reboot needed false. That is the default value. Now, if we jump all the way down to the bottom, we only reboot the server when kernel reboot needed equals true. So what we did is we set up a little logic gate now where false is always the default. You pass through these, and if you need to, you get that set somewhere else. But if you make it down here and you're still set to false, you're not going to get rebooted. Do you guys see that? I hope. And then how can we get set to true? Well, Grubby is a command inside of Red Hat to check the default kernel version, and we set Grubby check. And then we go and we look for a kernel reboot needed. We set it to true only if the current Ansible kernel that the system found when it first did a fact check on the box is not in Grubby check standard out. What that is a simple logic check for, is the kernel that we're about to boot to newer than the kernel that we're on? That's what that check does. And then we re-show the fact just for fun, and then we come down here and we set that fact to true, and now that server is going to reboot. So if I come back over here, these things are still patching, which I think is hilarious. I didn't think CentOS 7 could patch anymore. But that's one set of inherited tasks inside of the reboot role. So now we go up and we go look at what's the last one? It's the last one. It was final validation. So we CD down into roles, final validation. In here, there's a bunch of variables and other things that can run. But what's our final validation? Our final validation, we do an uptime to make sure that the system has rebooted. We do a final validation of that yum history has happened, like that a reboot has happened today. We make sure that the server was patched today right here, and then we look for that value of the server patched today. And then we create a template to alert out to the system. And actually this puts it directly on the node. This isn't one of my ones that like sends up to Discord, which, by the way, guys, when I do patching, I send stuff to Discord, I send it to Slack, I send it to corporate email, I'll send it to all kinds of places, whatever I need to send it to prove that the work is done. Because, guys, you got to understand, like, you're normally patching servers on nights and weekends. You do not want to be doing this stuff by hand. If I haven't emphasized this before, doing stuff by hand always has the possibility of you making a mistake. It has the possibility of you doing what we call fat fingering something. So you fat finger and type CX01 when you meant CD01, and fucking you just take the wrong thing down and everything goes down. So we don't want that, right? We want to make sure that our systems work and like, I mean, if you think about it, right, all these things, if the scaffolding really does, and I'm calling Ansible the scaffolding in this case, if the scaffolding is set to only do these things, well, this can't make a mistake. Now, look, I'm not saying errors can't happen here. What I'm saying is this can't accidentally do some other command than uptime. I could type upblime. I could type all kinds of messed up things here. In fact, if you guys have ever watched me type, I'm always typing messed up things, right? But the thing is, this thing can't make those mistakes. The mistakes that would happen here would be based on the state of the system, which I always check the state of the system. Not today in our lab when we're just messing around here, but when I'm doing this stuff for real, oh yeah, I check all kinds of things. And I have stuff out there for you guys. In fact, one of the labs that we're going to be going over today, if I get to the lab work, will be on patching. Yeah, Enterprise Ansible patching. So we'll go do one of my patching labs if any of you guys want to do it. Because these are all my notes over here for the book, right? The Lean Pub book that I have. And I got to do the fail to bandwidth metric alerting as well. So, all right. So that's where we're at. That's what we're doing. I got permission from the wife to stream late because we're going to...
I'm going to go in like 8 minutes.
The wife's going to go in like 8 minutes and get us snacks. And the snacks are, what am I getting, a chocolate shake?
Is that what you want?
Does that sound good, guys? What kind of shake should I get? I can get
31 flavors.
from 31 flavors, she says. I had a strawberry one the other day and it was okay. I like strawberry shakes and that one was just okay. Here, I'll put a thing up on the Twitch side. Hold on. Julie, I'll let them
Decide what you're going to get?
yeah, well, I'll let them at least vote.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they're going to decide it. What type of shake? And let's go strawberry, chocolate, vanilla. Sorry, on the YouTube side, I don't think you guys will be able to vote. You'll just have to voice your vote in. Oh, what other ones should I do, Julie? Let's see, strawberry, chocolate, vanilla. Oh, somebody said banana. Banana and strawberry. Now we're getting crazy. And what's another flavor that's very common? I don't know for that kind of stuff. I don't know. What other types you guys think? Like blue?
And cream, chocolate chip cookie dough.
Yeah, would they make that into a shake?
Yes.
They'd make chocolate chip. We're going to leave this for everybody. All right, chocolate chip cookie dough. We're gonna leave. Oh, chocolate. I can't spell chocolate right either. Chocolate chip cookie. It doesn't let me finish. All right, we'll allow extra votes for that. All right, you guys can vote over on the Twitch side. Let's look at what happened here. Something failed fantastically. Restore the original yum.conf failed. Text execution could not find etsy.yum.conf on the Ansible controller if you're using a module. Why wouldn't it be able to find that if it had just made it? That's interesting. Oh, I need a remote source on there. All right. Let's go fix a couple things real quick. So let's go to grafana.com. It's Grafana. Sorry, I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. See etsy.com. Oh, Etsy Oh. So here's this. Let's grab that real quick. And let's real quick exit out of here. Let's go. What was the first one that broke? Does anybody remember the first one that broke? The first one that broke was definitely InfluxDB. So oh, he's in a Ubuntu box. See, he shouldn't be in CentOS box. How did he get over there? That's super annoying. Andy's called Loki now. Let's just fix this another way. Ansible. I think I messed with these a long time ago. And I think I put him in there messing around, even though he wasn't one of those boxes. And then we need to go fix now in our, not in our patching, but in our reboot. Oh, no, it wasn't patching. Right here, when we, this is, I've made a mistake here. We need this to be remote source, yes. Okay, it's better. And run it again. Let it run back. There's only be 2 now because the other one we pulled out because he was in a Ubuntu box. Who knows why? Oh, somebody said Oreos and cookies. Hold on, let's see what it is. It's from IOFault. It's from 31 Flavors. That's where she's going. They said chocolate chip cookie dough. That's what they're saying. And then there's banana strawberry. Nobody's taken strawberry chocolate or vanilla yet. Hold on. Over on the YouTube side, they're saying banana strawberry or mango or passion fruit.
I've never seen those flavors.
They don't have those in their 31 flavors. They don't have those.
I have not seen those. I love passion fruit.
I was gonna say it could be slightly dangerous for you to give me passion fruit as my wife. You'd be like, oh, he's already so passionate. Now he's even more passionate. Everybody just thinks he's this dry Linux internet guy, but he's also very passionate.
Funniest guy I know.
Funniest guy you know. She made the mistake of one time calling me not funny, and then now she's never living it down. How many years has it been now?
Oh gosh, 10.
Almost, yeah. It's been a long time. All right. So anyways, she's been a help desk person for 20-something.
Almost 22.
Almost 22. She's the senior IT person in the family, if you guys didn't know that.
Oh, gosh.
She's been doing it longer than me, but in the help desk side of things. You guys see how helpful the cows are? The cows like to tell us how they're doing. All right, is it going to reboot them? That's the question. Did it reboot them? And why was it not rebooted? Oh. So, says that the server was patched today, so that's good. But why did the reboot not happen? It says right here that it was skipping. Kernel reboot needed was true, but it still did not actually reboot these. Do I have those commented out? Reboot flag only if server has newer kernel set. Okay. Reboot kernel was needed. and then it said reboot the servers, but it was still skipped. So we need to go check that real quick. Our logic is bad somewhere, right? So in patching, and then in... Let's go look at what's going on here. How do our thing... it looks like people want me to have a chocolate chip cookie dough. But I didn't vote yet, so I can override it. That's what the people want.
We'll give the people what they want.
Should I have chocolate? Wait, chocolate chip cookie dough. Is that one of the flavors?
Yeah.
And they'll turn that into a shake for me.
Yeah.
You'll say they'll throw that in a blender and just chop it up and
Give
put
the
it.
people what they want.
They'll just put it in my hand.
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute. Somebody said Reese's peanut butter cup.
That's one too.
That's a flavor?
Yes.
Oh man, you guys are messing with me.
No, they're not.
No, they're not messing with me? Okay.
They're not.
Okay. They're probably right though.
Your people would lead you astray.
All right, why did this fail when it said that it was needed? Kernel reboot needed was set to true. We see it right here. Kernel reboot needed came out as true. That was showing us the fact. And then reboot the servers, reboot when kernel reboot needed is equal to true. We set it to true right there based on that, which it's true, and then var kernel reboot needed, and then reboot them. So I really should change this logic to is, because I don't think equals equals is the right. So let's do this. When kernel reboot, we should be able to say is true. But equals equals should have worked. This is gonna bug me a little bit. Why is that not? Oh, somebody said PB and J. That is a real. We're in a real pickle here, but not pickle, because pickle we had that earlier. I told them earlier what we had for at Texas Roadhouse.
We shouldn't get those pickles again.
Yeah, the pickles weren't great.
I mean, I thought they were tasty, but I just don't like those.
Yeah, fair enough. When kernel reboot needed equals true. Yeah, it should work. Kernel reboot needed equals true. I should have rebooted them. Set fact, kernel reboot needed true on each server, as long as they had the newer grubby.
I'm going.
You're going?
You're committed.
Somebody said love durian shake. I don't know what that is.
No. Durian? That person. Don't trust that person.
All right.
Durian fruit is like outlawed. It's like, it tastes like feet.
Oh, that's a terrible thing. She said it tastes like feet. I do like Oreo cookies, but oh man, there's too many. All right. What did it actually end at? I forgot what it ended with. I think what did I say earlier? What did I say?
Chocolate chip cookie dough?
I think that's what won. All right, that's what I'll take. Chocolate chip cookie dough. Make it so.
Okay.
Only because you want it. I'm not sending you over there. And it got to 104 today here in Phoenix. So I bet there's a lot of people getting ice cream right now. At 9:02 at night. It's wild. All right. Why did this not? Let's go Control A, escape to go back up.
What size do you want?
Large. Why did it skip the reboot if kernel reboot needed is true? Set the reboot flag only if a server has the newer kernel set in grubby. So this says reboot the servers, but it skipped it. What am I missing? See, it said okay on this, which means it didn't skip it. And then down here, it showed the variable as true. So let's go look. I must be losing my mind. Let's go look at something else. Let's just go into. Look at one of these other ones. I was looking for another example. Grep-IR for, we're going to look for when and everything. Oh, that's one to skip. Failed when false. When Ansible equals something. Let's go up here. I don't even know what the heck that is. What is that? Alright. Crap. We'll get rid of all that other crap. Failed when false, failed when false. When Ansible distribution equals some value. Yeah. So that works on my aid check, no problem. And when reset is defined and reset is equal to true, so that works there. And one of my K8s build out. When Discord webhook is defined and maintenance is not equal to, yes, so we can do equal equals and not equals. So what is going on here? When sudoers RC is equal to 1, so we can do a specific check. Are these all? No, that's a string. So that's a string comparison. Is defined and maintenance is not equal to yes. All right. Well, I don't. Then I guess. It's definitely changing that, and it's definitely set there, and it's definitely should be able to reboot right here. That's weird. I want to see it again. What? Oh. Watch the error. We patched, which is all good. Those should come out fine for patching because now the patching's done on them. But kernel version should change, so then they should be. Yeah, it should work. I'm not sure why it's not working, but does AWX have more patches to take? All right, guess we'll be patching. I didn't think, yeah, that's, alright, we'll give it a minute. We didn't really need, okay, originalyoung.conf, Checks the reboot of the kernel, but it skips the reboot. Okay, we still got the message server did not reboot, which is fine because it has not rebooted. But we're seeing kernel, like we're legitimately seeing right here. Right here. We're seeing this right here. It's definitely setting those values. Right? And then it's definitely not doing what we want. Unless I've spelled kernel wrong somewhere. Kernel reboot needed is set to true on both boxes. KERNEL. Reboot needed. And then, when kernel reboot needed is true, we use the reboot module. Alright, we might have to go check, because maybe, just maybe, I have a problem. Whoops, maybe I have a problem with the, oh, I don't want to show you guys that. I didn't even know that was open. That's on the wrong page. That's because my system crashed a little while ago, and that was super annoying. Hold on. Let's go look at the reboot module and see if there's any other proclivities. So unconditional reboot, just Ansible built-in reboot, which that's fine. Reboot without the Ansible built-in is fine, especially on an older version. Check our when condition. Should be under variables. Just because, I don't know. Because who knows why. When, yeah, when that variable is equals to whatever. I mean, I'll do double quotes if they want me to do double quotes, but I don't think that should have mattered. Alright. We'll do double quotes. I don't think it should matter. Let's try it. I mean, I have it other places with single and double quotes, I thought, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just losing it. Let's go see. We'll try it either way. But it shouldn't patch so long because all the patches are already taken, so there shouldn't be any other patches needed right now. It's out of here. Don't need it. Yeah, but it's definitely saying kernel reboot needed true, and then not taking it. It's not. I mean, it's skipping for some reason, and I don't know what that reason is because it looks correct, right? Let's go see if we can make it not skip. That's what we're trying now. Also, I don't know why AWX is patching every time. It shouldn't have anything to patch. It should be done patching. Unless it's taking more patches, which doesn't make any sense after multiple runs now. We could set it to a more verbose mode if we wanted to, but still skipping the reboot. Go look at our most recent validation check. That's what our validation check looks like, and I could send this up to like Discord or Slack or email or whatever. Everything's patched, but they haven't rebooted yet today, which is a problem if we expected reboots, right? So well, Quill, that's a good idea, but this should, I mean, Ansible should treat it all the same. It's Python under the hood, right? So this should work. I could look for true in that, so I could do when true, like this, right? I could look for this. Which actually is another way that you can do things. Which I mean, I'm doing that check right here. Look, right? But that other check should have also triggered. So now I'm looking for the word true in kernel reboot needed, which I see right here is the word true. I mean, and on that last play, it was also set to true. Kernel reboots being properly set, right? It's getting changed, so it should be getting set. Where's it at? Hold on. Set the reboot flag only if server has a newer version set in Grubby, and that's saying okay. Then we see kernel reboot needed is set to true. And then it skips. Hold on. var, yeah, so this var right here should show me the value. Yeah. Not that true is not it exists. That true is that it's there, that it has a value. It would pull the contents out and show it to me. I use that enough that I feel pretty good about that. And then let's try this. I mean, this shouldn't be it, but I mean, screw it. Who knows? Dang Ansible. Oh, there it is. Let's see. And yeah, I mean, Ansible is just basically Python, so it should try to figure out what the thing is. But yeah, that's so weird because I see it right there. I do see your point though, is if it was looking at it as like true or false. But now, I mean, I should be focusing on it as a string right now. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm curious now because I have not run into this. I have a very old version of Ansible on here, but I have not run into this in my long time of using Ansible. I haven't seen it skip like this on a set of nodes. Right, should almost be done. Come on. Surprised AWX keeps taking all this time. It's got to be hanging on one of its mirrors or something. Okay. If true in. So it is doing it like a type bool. Go grab that error because then we're never gonna see it again, right? Let's go grab that error in case we need it. Okay. Set it to true. We debug it and see it as true. Also, let's switch these. Whoops. Switch our quotes. This shouldn't in all the world matter, but that's how we have it up here. This right here is for sure. Standard out should be just a number, and Ansible kernel should just be checking in there, but it's checking a string. Oh yeah, it's a string against the string. Yeah, so yeah, that's all right. We could just to bypass the thing for now. We could not worry and just reboot. But I mean that's kind of cheating, but I'm not really too worried about it because I had not seen this error before, and you know, digging into it right now is just not not necessarily something I care too much about. So we'll just go ahead and comment it out, and we'll just run a reboot no matter what. Like, we knew we were going to reboot tonight, so we reboot them both, right? Actually, funny, that Grafana server is the one that runs Ranger Cam. Let's go check on Ranger real quick. And then we'll actually see, oh. So check Ranger Cam real quick until we get to reboot, and then we'll watch this server go down right here. We'll actually watch Ranger Cam stop coming through as that reboot occurs. How's Ranger doing? Ranger's lazy. Ranger's always lazy. Look at him down there, just vegging out on his 2 beds stacked on top of each other, and then the one other bed off to the side with his carpet and his little toys. He's a pretty good dog. He's very old. Doesn't have much time left. RCRNST. I don't even know. There's no vowels in that, so I can't pronounce it. How much Python do you know? I'm dangerous with Python, I guess. I'm not like great at it. Now it's just gonna reboot anyways. Yeah, I have 14 of all 1,000 Pythons. Yep. I do enough. I mean, I do enough with it. I don't like write Python professionally or anything. I just use it as a means to an end as a systems and high performance compute engineer. But I'm not a by any stretch of the means like an all. We'll wait for you. We'll wait for you to come back. We will wait. And by the way, Ranger Cam's down, right? No, it's still running right now, so it's not on. Hasn't rebooted him yet. Ranger Cam's still passing through. He's not down yet. Ranger Cam's still fighting. Ranger Cam's still fighting. Oh, so to answer the question I am not a professional coder. I am a guy who does platform engineering and systems engineering and network engineering and all that, and it all rolls up into high performance compute stuff. I can get around in Ansible, I can get around in Jinja templates and stuff, but I would not be what anybody would call an expert in Python. No. But I also tell you guys all the time, I have never shipped production code. That's not what I do. I build systems, right? I've built hundreds of thousands of systems now for the government and for companies and all kinds of stuff. And I maintain a bunch of them too, mainly through tools like Ansible and stuff. So, yeah, so it rebooted them. We just forced the reboot on those 2 servers. Now it's going. That's interesting to me that it seems to be doing this serially because it's. That's not right. How did it reboot Grafana, but Grafana Cam is still up? Oh, that can't be. That's probably bad because that's rebooted something else in the house then. All right, hold on. Oh, where is he? What did he reboot? Because 219 is still up. He never rebooted. So what the hell did this server reboot? Alright, hold on. So we're going to do something else real quick here. The thing that we're giving it, CentOS 7, we're going to go run an ad hoc command against that real quick just to see, right? This is very useful for seeing. These should both have no uptime right now. So now I'm super confused because how is Ranger Cam? Oh, that must have been the reconnect we had to do. Okay, all right. Well, that was fine. Here's a site tried suggestion, might have missed it. So I spelled Python as kernel reboot needed is true. Note the lack of quotes and capitalization. Where's that? Yeah, so Ansible can take it can take upper or lowercase true or false, but I mean I'll set it to true if you want. I mean, keyboard kernel reboot. This is just this is just a when test condition. So we do when instead of like conditionals like if. But literally all the things I had should have worked, and that's what's confusing me, is because that one error leads me, like this error reminded me of like Jinja errors that I've seen before, where it does look like it's trying to use that as some kind of Boolean, right? And it's not iterable, but it's like, I don't want to iterate over it. I just want it to do check true in kernel reboot needed. Template type error of if true in kernel reboot needed. True else false if type argument of bool is not iterable. Yeah, so I'm not. I see. But don't I have it the same here? So I set it to true here and I set it to true here. I'm using the lowercase. You want me to use uppercase? I could try it. Oh, it's not gonna. By the way, it's not gonna. This won't be true anymore though, because now the kernel won't change. The kernel version won't change, so this test won't come up true anymore. But I mean, I probably should start doing, like when I do my YAML lints and my other types of lints, I always see that I should be doing true, upper or lowercase or whatever. It always tells me, but I haven't used a linter in a while. Those are, yeah. So I just forced it right here. I just said fuck it. So when I go over this, I just took away the condition basically, and just said, you know what, just run it. So. Kernel reboot needed. Kernel reboot needed. But I didn't spell. Okay, yeah. So when I initially set it as false, maybe that's where. And then I set it to true, and then I try to test it for true. And again, there's different way. I've tried to test it. We started with this. We started with this originally, which is the way that I've always done it. That's how we originally had it when we started here today. But, well, with the lowercase, though. But we were seeing it be set, but we were seeing this check skipping. And I just don't know why it was skipping. And then we broke it, and then I said, screw it, we're not I was thinking of it as a logical operator and not checking for the string true. Yeah, this right here, when we do the message, this should show us the contents of that variable, not. And this is a good thing to note. It'll show me the contents of that variable, not whether or not the variable exists. Just so you guys know too, because I've used that enough to know. Well, now I don't know anything because like this breaking is really stunning me. I've used this kind of thing all the time, and I wonder if there's a mismatch on my versions or something. I'm using a very old version in my home lab. Yeah. We're using a very old. Yeah, this is sent to a 7 box, so a lot of this would probably be solved by going to one of the newer, like Like Python 2 has not been the standard for 10 years. Shit, probably maybe even longer than that. So, anyways, but we still have it kicking on, especially Red Hat boxes. You'll still find Python 2, but most government stuff we've taken it off of as a vulnerability for not being supported anymore. So, all right. Anyways, we don't need probably any of that. That was us. So the question earlier was just like, what I don't even remember what somebody asked me about earlier, but something about like how we use Ansible and what Ansible is. And I was showing over here, you can just do ad hoc stuff, or you can really start getting deep into. It's definitely doing Python under the hood, because it needs a Python interpreter on each machine. Then it pushes over what they call microcode and then runs it. In fact, one of the fun things you guys can do if you ever want to is you can always just load up Ansible with a bunch of V's like this, and it'll show you what it's doing. It'll give you the real everything. Oh. Did I just hit all my I hit all my nodes, yeah. But you'll see it connect over, right? So you'll see it establish a connection, you'll see it push over the little microcode into a temp place, and one called, in this case, command.py, and they put this little thing on it like Ansible Z, and I don't know if that's like a throwback to Dragon Ball Z, and then command.py and sleep, so it pushes it over and then it runs it. So it's kind of an interesting little thing, and you can always check a bunch of stuff. First off, you have setup. Setup is this awesome command if you just want to know everything that Ansible could possibly know about a box. And you can just run it like this. And for each of my servers, this is going to drop like 16 pages on the screen of JSON output. And it's just going to dump everything. But the things that we probably care about is this interpreter. So what's the discovered interpreter for Python? And on those CentOS boxes, it was still going to be Python 2.7 or whatever the hell it was. But on all of my Rocky 9 boxes, right, because these are all Rocky 9, it'll be Python 3. So in the Werewolf side of my home lab, this stuff is all fine. That's like the neglected. This is like the poor neglected area over here. Oops, where's that? This is all like my poor neglected stuff out here, and then Werewolf is my stuff that we mostly use for people getting in and stuff. If you guys haven't seen, where's my Python stuff? Where's my home lab stuff at? Hold on. I don't know where it went. I don't know where anything went anymore. It's all gone. It's all hidden. Is it under Ranger Check? Yeah, it's over here. So this is like in our home lab here. This is kind of what the home lab looks like. And I'm playing out in this space over here that's not really like the lab stuff. There's the admin lab stuff, and then the security engineering lab stuff that you guys all can jump into from our Discord, right? And this was us over here messing around with like these nodes out here that are outside of our kind of, production, if you wanted to think of it as production type stuff over here. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, we should be able to let's just say interpreter. You can use, what is the name of that? It's a shortened, whatever it's called. The search function is, you can get into regex in there, but you don't need to if you want. There's a name for it. Yeah, to Austin. I don't know who drew these little people, but I've left them. So if you guys haven't seen this before, like I can grab this and I can save this out to like, save to a disk somewhere, and then I've got a bunch of these. And this is our home lab logic drawing, right? I'll save it. Yep, already exists, sure. And then I can share this to you guys. I can start a session right now, copy the link. I can drop this over on YouTube, and I can drop it over to you guys on Twitch. But on Twitch, you have to copy it out, and this will be your risky click of the day. But you guys can sit in here, and you guys can draw on the same thing, and then you can keep a copy of it as well if you needed to, right? If you were like, oh, hey, whatever, yeah, people can jump in and start drawing and stuff. And I actually don't care if you guys take it or throw it away or delete things. I don't care, because I already have a hard copy of it, right? Yeah, you play. There's all kinds of cool things you can do inside of Excalidraw if you guys haven't played with it. So, yep, yep. You guys can see how all the connections work and stuff over there. You guys can see different things that we've added over time, like the interaction with the streamers and the way that some of our different stuff was working out into some of our different stuff that we were working on. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So yeah, you guys. And then if it's not in dark mode, you got to switch it to dark mode for yourself. So you got to come here. I know sometimes people have problems. You just come down here and go to disk dark mode, and then it'll come up. And I every time I show this to like one of my colleagues at work or something, they go and start using this stuff professionally. And then if you guys use VS Code, which I use VS Code for all of our lab stuff, right? Like for all of our lab GitHub stuff, you can actually have inside of VS Code. You can open drawings in here too. So watch, I can say File, Open Recent, and if we wanted to see like the security engineering course that we had been working on, here's all the security here's all the security engineering course stuff we had been working on. Here's all the labs and all that kind of stuff. And then I can share these out as well. Right. Excuse me. Alright guys, I'm over here coughing. IOFault said, does it store diagrams locally? I normally use something because it doesn't save anything to their servers. So they have a section on in Excalidraw where they say that they'll keep something, it's its own room and they can't access it, but that's still something you'd have to trust with them. But I can tell you this, one of the cool things about Excalidraw is it's open source and free, and you can run it on your own servers. So if you guys didn't know that, you can look up Excalidraw on, it said Excalibur. It's Excalidraw, and you can do Excalidraw. You can run it locally if you wanted to. So you can run it. They've even got Docker images and stuff if you just want to run it, and then you just want to. Yep. They got all kinds of stuff in there. And another fun thing is if you get into using Excalidraw and you like it, there's tools like LogSec. I haven't used LogSec in a while. Also, it's going to pop up in white in day mode. So hold on a second when it does come up. I don't know where it went. There it is. So if you guys have ever not seen LogSec, we can go into dark mode. Hold on. Dark. Right? And then what can happen here is I can just / right here and say draw. And this will just set up a drawing, and I can just start drawing right in here, and it'll save it as an Excalidraw. So you can save things right here, and so LogSec has that built into it right there as a tool. Yeah. Some of the guys use it a lot. I've really tried to like love LogSec, and I just have not loved that tool. I can get most of my command line stuff that I need to out into my Notepad, and then from Notepad I'll carve it down into whatever final type stuff I need for work. And some of you guys that were around earlier, I was showing because I was asked about kind of like my workflow, and I'll build things over here in Linux. I'll pull them out to a tool, typically like a Notepad++, and then after I've done stuff over here, and it's kind of this is like my scratch space, then I'll throw things into their final, wherever their final place to live is going to be, if that's documentation for a customer in Confluence, or I don't know. There's all kinds of things that it could be, I guess. So sometimes it's drawn stuff in Excalidraw, sometimes it's, I don't know, it can be all kinds of things, right? So yeah, that's that. What I haven't talked much about is we've got a Discord. We're trying to get to, we're almost to 4,000 people hanging out down there. That's kind of cool. Let me see if I can put this over here. Put that over on the YouTube side. Although on the YouTube side, so you guys know, It's also in the description. So like in the description later, if you're hanging out, you can see all that stuff. Also, I can't believe I've been on for an hour and a half. All right. So, did my I thought my voice, I thought my closed captioning had stopped. Let's keep going with I don't even think I was doing this originally. Yeah, we were working on the security engineering course. So let's go to this is going to be our 10th class meeting. Last week will become this one, so this will be last week. And then this week will be whatever our topics are for this week. Let's go journal topics. We'll get to that. And then present and then the last one will be Chingo, you said, is the reason for leaving them notes as text files for versatility and converting to other file types? Are you talking about like in my Notepad++? It's just because I'm pulling them raw out of a terminal. A lot of times I'm just dumping things over there real fast out of a terminal, and it's almost like this is. Have you guys ever saw like an artist like kind of sketch something? I'm not trying to compare myself to artists or anything. I'm just saying like my thoughts on this are like, this is my sketching before the final lines, right? And then when I go to actually put it down and make it like the official document, that's when this stuff gets, drawn over. Like you guys will find I have stuff all back here from all kinds of things. We had lead Linux engineer technical questions. So, no, this was just Linux engineer, not even lead. Like technical questions that I ask, people have asked me for those. My interview questions, we were doing interviews a while back in the Discord, and it was like, here's all my technical questions that I might ask you. Here's my troubleshooting questions I might ask you. We used to like put people in the hot seat and do all that stuff. Let people practice that. Then I had, hold on, I'll show you one that's fun. This is like services for admins. So what does an admin need to know about a service? NFS, I think you need to know, is it installed? Is it running? Where is it configured? What are the logs and errors? Where are they at? And is there a monitoring service that would have told us something was wrong if it was down? Here's Apache. Here's what I think you need to know about Apache if you're an admin. Is it installed? Is it running? How do you check that? Where is it configured at and where that might have been broken? But as an admin, you're probably not configuring things. You're probably just checking them out and sending it up to your engineers. Where are the logs and servers and errors and all that stuff? And then is there a monitoring solution to verify? And then we get down into like monitoring, and we talk about is the tool on there, whatever the monitoring tool is. Where is it configured, right? We put things down in opt. Prometheus might be somewhere else because Prometheus likes to be in varlib, but so we just let it. And then there's logs and errors, and are we sending stuff out? Are we running antivirus? If we are, where is it running? Is the database signatures getting updated? These kind of things. These are like things that, these are all up in the Discord, by the way, too. So if anybody wants those. This was our job skill stuff. So we went on the internet and we found a bunch of jobs, actual job boards. And here's all the questions. Here's all the things they wanted you to know. And then we just went through and said, do we know how to do those things? What are the things that we need? We need to be able to liaise with vendors and third-party providers for system integration and support. All right. Well, here's what I do. If you ask me how I liaise, if you say, Scott, I don't, by the way, I don't like babysitting anybody. I don't even like babysitting my college students, but I'll do it because they're going to pay me for it. But here's something when I deal with vendors and third party, I never leave an email unanswered. If they send an email Monday morning, I don't leave it until the end of Monday. I always answer it. I say treat them like hot potatoes. Why? Because if you don't get back to them until Tuesday night, they're not going to think it's very high priority. And then when somebody asks them a month later why they didn't get stuff done, they're going to point to the first time they sent you something, you waited 2 days to send something back. I will never let anybody accuse me of that. As soon as that email comes in, I treat it like a little hot potato and I throw it back at them. Give them the information, turn them over to one of my junior techs or one of my other engineers, whatever we're doing, and I make sure that like they're not waiting, right? Be extremely precise with tech support. You can't just say it's the riser cards in the back of the system you deployed, because the person you're going to be sending that ticket to is not the person that came out and deployed that. And guys, I work all the time with Dell. You say, how much do you work with Dell? Literally like all day. And you say, why do you work so much with Dell? Well, because Dell gives my company that I work for a lot of work. I also work with NOAA more now, but that's the National Oceanographic Atmospheric Agency. I work with them a lot more now. But even then, I would never talk to HPE on our contract and say, oh, it's just this in the back of the... That doesn't make any sense, right? Hey, how's it going, Rob? We are hanging out, and I am obviously virtual right now. I am not really a penguin raising my hand and yelling at you guys. But I did figure out how to do that today, which I think is kind of funny. So, thanks for the raid. Hopefully you're feeling pretty good, Rob. I was hanging out earlier when you were looking at bike stuff and all that kind of stuff there. Newer made last Mr. Nice. Yeah, I was on earlier when you were looking, like earlier in the day, you were looking at some stuff with bikes. One of my new, so you guys that get in the industry and work on this stuff for a long time, you're going to find that you have to use different VPNs to get in different places. And with my company, I have like, let's just say right now I'm probably on like 5 or 6 like different active contracts. So I have like just a laptop full of VPN clients. And the most recent one, my Cisco VPN, locked everything down, guys. It just locked everything down. Are any of my mods here? I don't think I have any mods here. I gotta shout out RWX Rob. If you guys don't follow Rob, you should. He's the guy that's kind of been doing this the longest here on the platform, I think, and also probably the best, right? When he's showing you stuff, he's doing beginner's boost. He's showing you guys how this stuff works. He's trying to get you guys into the industry, which is the stated goal of our group, right? The whole reason my group of guys exists is to get, I tell people all the time, I got enough friends. I've already, made enough friends in life, but it's like we want to get you guys into doing this stuff, right? By the way, Rob, I don't know if you've seen this, but one of the guys that used to work with you a while back, Treasure, who is a treasure, by the way, he showed me how to do this, and I think he did it. I think he learned how to do this from you. So I'm going to link this to you guys right here and here. And this is the systems admin course that I put together for them, and he turned it into a book. Him and the guys are all doing this book in GitHub, and then they're doing pull requests and building this book. It's awesome. And then over here, he did the same thing. We're still building the security engineering course. But the security engineering course is right here for people that want it. This is all free stuff, guys. You can download it. You can copy it. You can print it out to a PDF and store it yourselves if you guys want. But yeah, the guys built. I mean, really, all I did was just build out the stuff and toss it over the wall, and the guys started putting it together for me. And the stuff that I do is to try to get you guys into Linux systems admin work. Right. This is the first course. And these are the major instructional areas and the course objectives. And if it looks like it's from a college professor, well, that's what I do, right? That's one of my many jobs, is try to get you guys into doing this stuff. The security engineering course is the same way. What am I trying to get you to understand as a security engineer? And this version of the security engineering course was designed to be on the blue track of things, like defense, right? Like how do we keep, defense of the dark arts, let's say, jokingly. And then the next run through it, we'll do red team. So we'll go red the other way. Nice. Yeah. But these guys they do some awesome work. We've got a GitHub out there for the professional Linux users group that people can contribute to. And actually, and I really hope these guys put this in here soon, because it'll be awesome to see. But they've got full control of it, by the way, not me. The contributors section. So here are the people that have been working on stuff. Here are the people that have helped. And I think that's really cool that they have a way to, like, if somebody says, hey, what have you done in the industry? Well, I contributed on this book and I understand how it's built. Let me go walk you through the process for a few minutes. You know, I did these courses. We also have some other things that validate, like Treasure wrote this stuff. So, like, for me, you could come in here and you could validate that I was part of the Prolog admin course the first time it ran, right? And then he keeps making these. Hey, Twisted Seed, how's it going? But yeah, he wrote all this, and then I host this in my local home lab. I actually host this locally. This keeps timing out though. I gotta go get into what's it called, AWS, because my CloudFront, I need to put the caching up to like a year on this bullshit so it stops timing out. What happens is the first time I go to it, it doesn't work for like about 30 seconds, and then it gets all cached up, and then it works. Did you bring stuff? Oh, yes, guys. The wife brought me a Oreo
No.
something.
A cookie dough. A chocolate chip cookie dough.
It's like a chocolate chip cookie dough shake.
Can I try it? How's it?
Yeah, you can try it. Yeah. So now she wants some of it. You tell me you waited the whole time and didn't drink any of it?
No, it's kind of thick.
Yeah, it is thick.
Do you need a spoon?
No. Do I need a spoon? Do I need a spoon? That's funny. Oh. All right, give me that. Sorry, guys. The wife has made a mess of my
Oh,
shake. The alpaca, this is probably way more of this stuff than I should be drinking right now, but it's pretty good. Yeah, if you guys want to see the process they've been using, if I go to LAC, here's the GitHub for it. And the GitHub kind of looks like this, and then they've got, here's the goals and the objectives of the course and all that kind of stuff. So you guys can go into this stuff with Git, all right, in Git if you want. It looks like they got some pull requests up. I don't mess with the issues of the pull requests. There's a writers group on Sunday that does a lot of this stuff, but I can go look at it all, obviously, because I'm on the project. But here's people that have contributed. All kinds of people have gotten involved, a bunch of deployments and stuff, and then they're using CSS and Shell. And then there's a book that I forget what Treasure uses, but basically pulls it and turns it all into this. I should probably go sit in there one of these days and work through them. But I think that's a valuable thing that those guys can show, that they have been involved with something, you know, like, because people always ask me, like, how do I show that I'm doing stuff in a home lab, or how do I show this stuff? Well, the only way that I know is like to draw it out and show people, right? Draw it out, show it to people. But I mean, other than that, like, you just got to be able to talk about this stuff, right? You got to be able to actually do the work. So, what are we on, 10 here? So that was last week. That's this week. And the overview for this week is review of all 10 or all 9 previous sessions, tying them back into the industry concepts. So that's going to be what we do. Can I make this? And we're going to do each of the weeks right here. So I actually have to get this ready by tomorrow. I'm very behind. And now I've got a shake that is stopped up in some way near the bottom. Pretty good shake though. All right. This is the old topics that we did. All right. So we got to think about what we want to work on right now. Because now I'm also drinking a shake while talking to you guys. Yeah, Rob, if you're still around, yeah, it's definitely crowdsourced. I mean, I just had a lot of the material, and I told the guys, like, this is, this is your books. These are for you guys, and they wanted to make it available to everybody. And I said, all right, we'll do it. We'll put the stuff out there. We're actually running, we're in the second week of the Linux admin course now. The second running of it. We ran the first one September, October, November. Yeah, I think even into December of last year. And then I think there were a couple breaks, so we finished in early January. And then they wanted to run it again, so that's what we did, right? Made a whole bunch of those. Yeah, and then RC, I'm just going to call you RC because there's literally no vowels there, so I'm just going to say RC. One of the things, I've always liked MediaWiki, but since I've been kind of forced by, my company and, life to use Confluence, I think Confluence is fine too. You can do Confluence in Markdown, pretty sure. Pretty sure you can just drop Markdown right into it and it works. But I did always like MediaWiki formatting, which is the same formatting you run into if you ever update anything on Wikipedia. Yeah. So yeah, those look pretty good. How's Ranger doing? Ranger has turned in his bed at least, so we can at least kind of see his face back there. But yeah, that's our prologue stuff. I didn't realize there were so many contributors to that, but yeah, they do a really good job. And then all the page here. Look, it's gonna error. Yeah, see, watch. It's gonna error for a few seconds and then it's gonna come up clean. But that's not the back end. Kubernetes has been up since we set it up. The origin stuff is all that's all in the AWS CloudFront. And then now there's all stuff about the group right there. All right. All right, let's get this. Move that over there. Let's go back over here. So, I don't really have a plan right now to build anything. Like the home lab is pretty much set up like I need. The main things I need to build out are the week 10 course. So let's see, what week is this? Is this 9? Yeah, this is week 9. So the week 9 course is all done with the exception of I just got to do the TLS operations right up, like what TLS is doing. And I might add at the top here, I had added a couple of little overview things. What is identity? So let's duplicate this slide. And the top one will be what is identity? Right? And then how do we establish identity? Maybe like that. Maybe like that. That's better. All right. Then this will be. Take that down a little bit. Hey, Laughing Sec, how's it going? Thanks for the raid. We are just hanging out right now, not working too hard. I am updating some of my training for our guys. We are doing a 10-week course on systems engineering. The courses are found over here, and I was just showing this a second ago, but I'll re-show it for you guys. We've got a Linux system admin course, which is actually a 16-week course. These are free, right? The books are just right here for you guys. and so I'll relink these for people that are rating in. And then the security engineering course is right here, and this is also, again, very free. Most of this, actually all of this was built by the guys. I just put together the content, and then they put the books together as we've done these courses. There's recordings over on Laughing. The stream's going good. I didn't really have much of a plan for streaming tonight. I've just been kind of hanging out, we were troubleshooting some Ansible and patching some systems. Ansible ran into a very strange, it was treating a string like a Boolean, but I hadn't seen that before, so I just bypassed the problem and just patched all the systems and didn't care. That's kind of what we're doing now, or what we had been doing. And then I'm just kind of hanging out. I made this stupid little thing today, and it's funny that it's still kind of working, but when I talk, he raises his hands, and then when I stop talking, he puts his hand down, and that's kind of funny to me. I only started doing that thing today. Normally, I'm on camera, but I didn't put my camera on tonight. I'm just letting the penguin look like it's yelling at you guys. People that don't know me, I've been doing Linux for 20-something years. Been teaching college for 17. I'm a high-performance compute engineer. I work on government systems and private enterprise. I work through a company called Redline, and I literally do everything in systems engineering. So if you guys have questions about getting into Linux side of things, I don't do. I'm not strictly speaking like a software engineer. I can put stuff together, but that's not what I do. If you ever saw a work artifact for me that looked like code, it would probably be Ansible or Bash. I do some Python depending on what I need and that kind of stuff. But yeah, nice. Also, right before you guys got here, my wife handed me a 31 flavors Baskin Robbins Oreo. What is this? Not Oreo. This is chocolate chip cookie dough something. So if it sounds like I'm over here sucking on a shake, that's exactly what's happening. Oh, it's probably better I'm not on stream. But anyways, we got this stuff. We got our Excalidraw, where I show you guys around the lab. A little bit about the group and how long we've been around. I've been running Prolog for almost 11 years now. We're almost to 4,000 people down in our Discord. So, Baskin Robbins, did they change their name? That might be true. I don't know. I know that it's 31 flavors now.
It's Baskin Robbins 31 flavors. That's the full name.
That's what my wife says. The name is Baskin Robbins 31 flavors. I don't know. You want to tell everybody how much longer you have in tech?
4 years, 8 months. And what's today's date? I have 20 days. 4 years, 8 months, and 20 days.
That's it. That's how much long the wife's got before she's done doing anything with tech ever again. Yeah, Action. Yeah, I'll probably do some streaming on Sunday nights around the doctorate. So, some of you guys know I'm about I almost said an hour and a half. I'm about a year and a half away from finishing up my doctorate. That's going to be a PhD in systems engineering. So, I mean, you guys got to understand, like, if you're in academia, right, if you teach college, that's the most important thing is what you have in front of your name. Like, that's what everybody asks you. That's how everybody talks. Like, that's it. It's a lot like that South Park episode where everybody's, like, farting in the glasses and sniffing it. I don't care about any of that stuff. I tell engineers all the time. I tell people that want to get into engineering, you guys can do this stuff without the degrees. I just have this drive to keep checking boxes off because it's not like a side quest thing either. It's like I just have to do these things. I have to finish these things up. So, the dissertation's currently on. I think I could pull it. Well, hold on. I'll pull up the topic. So the topic is it's in security engineering currently. but as a subset of systems engineering, and it deals with when you train users, right? There's a model that's out there currently called the KAB model, and the KAB model is knowledge, attitude, behavior. And what happens with vulnerabilities and like obviously like we use things and we use technology all the time and we're not even aware of our vulnerabilities, right? And our users are definite like user level people that are not like admins, they have no effing idea what's going on, right? So the idea in systems engineering is like how do we train and security engineering for sure, how do we train users to have a knowledge of the thing, right? The knowledge is the first, okay, if you just click on every link that comes in your email, one day something bad's going to happen to you, right? So we got to give them the knowledge of this thing, right? But how much of the knowledge is needed for it to become an attitude change towards that, where they go, ooh, I shouldn't be clicking on everything from everybody? And then how do we make sure that the knowledge and the attitude affect the behavior, right? So it's systems engineering, but it's extending to that eighth layer, right? And I probably have about 60 pages written right now, mostly on the first two sections, which is the intro and then the what do they call it, the literature review. So man, I haven't really looked at that for a while, so I need to get back down in there and dig in on it. But I don't, strictly speaking, it doesn't have to be systems or security type stuff in the systems engineering space. But that's kind of what I had settled on because that's kind of what I do the most, which is kind of lock systems down. Actually, you said latex and paper reading would be a good add-on. Yeah, I'll definitely do when I get a little further in. And I use a tool a lot right now, Zotero. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I love Zotero for note taking. But you pull up Zotero and you go into like any of your courses and any of your work, and you can just like generate bibliographies from things, right? And I have different stuff here, engineer stuff, and then in one of my newer classes that I just started, things that I was grabbing. And Laughing, you said you're working on your master's right now. Nice. You're going to do an EDD, cybersecurity curricula and higher learning. Well, I'll tell you, if you ever need anybody to talk to about it, or you ever want to talk to our group, that's what we do. Laughing, we do. Our whole professional Linux users group is about getting people into Linux space specifically. But I tell people all the time, man, you do Linux, you can go into security. You do Linux, you can go into networking. You do Linux, you can. I think of Linux as like the base for all types of engineering. So yeah, that would be pretty awesome. So, yeah, and then Laughing, my younger brother who does not stream, but I just bring him up because he comes and talks to the group sometimes. Is he just finished his master's in data analytics, and he is walking on Sunday. So we're super excited for him because we don't come like our family. It's kind of funny. We don't come. Me and my four brothers, right? We don't come from like a how to put this. We don't come from a family that's terribly educated, right? However, fun fact, my dad could have done probably anything he wanted. His brothers are all doctors and engineers, but he could have probably done whatever he wanted, but he just wanted to cut sheet metal. And my mom is actually, when she's not like yelling about QAnon and whatever other things she's yelling about, she is actually quite intelligent too, and her family has a fair amount of degree holders and stuff as well. So like it like skipped my parents' generation though. They just had, neither of them had any desire to do any of that stuff. So like she never really did anything either. Anyways, the only reason I bring that up is, because me and my brothers are kind of making our own little mark on our own little education and that kind of stuff. So if you're into self-flogging, networking is the thing. That's actually funny. Yeah, I did networking for the start of my career. I got my CCNA back in 2002, and then I realized very quickly as I worked for a school district, and I got up to running there. I ran all the wireless and all the firewalls. And you might go like, man, that's where I want to be. I want to do wireless and I want to do firewalls. And I'm like, there were two firewalls. They always worked. I had them set up to fail over between them. Either one could take 180,000 connections. They were called PIX 525. They were the PIX 525 versions before PIX became ASA, right? Even till today, I could talk all about it, right? I went out and I did wireless site surveys at all the schools. And if you like walking around, wireless site surveys are great. And if you like testing things, it's great. But I got to where it's like everything just kind of worked. And I was like, this isn't really much of a challenge. So that's when I got more over into the Linux side of things, right? Laughing, you said your master's in cyber ops and analytics. Nice. Yeah, all my friends that are, so I have a fair amount of friends that are into high level analytics with economics and stuff. And it's funny, like, because you'd say, oh, you met them through education. Nope, I met them through Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And specifically, one of my good buddies has introduced me to all kinds of other people. I've actually sat in on some, I'm the guy that they bring in for, like, my resume has a lot of cloud stuff on it. And they bring me in when they need to kind of bolster some of their cloud stuff when they're talking to clients and stuff. And I think that's kind of funny. But anyways, where I'm going with that is, yeah, all of them do not use R. Every single one of them, when I see their screen and I'm looking at their VS Code or whatever else, it's always Python. And I know guys that, like, everybody, thinks they want to do R, but it's kind of that same thing like my wireless and my firewalls. Everybody thinks they want to do that stuff until you get in there and you're like, this isn't nearly as challenging as I thought, and this stuff all just works. Like, Anyways, so the alpaca said wireless site surveys are interesting and the survey has been completed. Before that, it is the walking and taking. Yeah. So alpaca, there's a 3-part process I used to do. Is I would write up what I think it's going to be. Yes, that's the first part. Then I would go walk it and test it with what was there. And then I would find out that I didn't know math at all and I didn't know anything else. And then I didn't realize that there was a wall of water there. Guys, bathrooms are like the worst things. Bathrooms, and especially in like 2-story buildings and stuff, they're like the worst. Because it's literally a wall of water, guys. Like that's all it is, right? Up and down through the pipes and stuff. Very difficult for water, right? Reflection, refraction, all the terrible things that cause the signal to noise ratio to be higher than what's acceptable, right? So anyways, that's all the kind of stuff. Laughing, you said you want to get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but you have a really addictive personality and did not want to have the time. I've been doing it for 22 years, Laughing. I am not nearly as injured as most people that do it for 22 years. I've been very blessed in that response, or in that way. But yeah, I've been training my whole life. Well, not my whole life, but I mean, ever since I got out of the Army. So, yeah. I go train about, what is it, wifey, 4 or 5 times a week? Yeah, I go in there pretty regularly. So guys, if you guys have never seen, there's a movie called Spencer Confidential. I don't expect a lot of people to have seen it. It was on Netflix. It was not great. But the dude gets out of prison and doesn't go see his wife. He goes to his MMA fight gym. And she goes in there and she's like, bunch of gorillas in here slapping and tickling each other. So then whenever we talk about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, my wife always says, bunch of grown-ups in there slapping and tickling each other. Yeah, I love it, though. One of the best things about it, you can't worry about literally anything else when the person's on your back trying to choke you to death. Like you can't sit there and actually, so on July 11th, I will have been a black belt for 5 years. So I've been doing it for that long. Yeah, July 11th, I'll be a black belt for 5 years. So, yep, I've been training a long time. It's fun. I do a lot of catch wrestling and stuff too. I do all this stuff. I don't just do like the few things for the sport. I do all kinds of other things too. So that's just kind of fun for me. All right, over here though, yeah, we've got the courses which are free. You guys can use them as you see fit. And then as you go through the courses, like let's say you were in week 1, there would be the worksheet, and then there's the recording. So we have all the recordings from when I first did it. Look, I told you guys sometimes I'm on stream. Look, there I am. Oh no.
Wix.
We'll let this thing finish talking. Hold on. Yeah. So normally.
So you think you know Wix?
What?
Do you really?
Are those ads?
First up, we've got shit.
And if those are ads, is that how many ads there are? Oh geez, that's a lot of ads. Good gosh. Did they put all those ads in there? Well, if I could find anybody bigger than me, I guess I could take on guys bigger than me, X-Shun, yeah? I'd have to find somebody bigger than me to do that. Yeah, this first one is, there's all these discussion posts you guys got to do if you do the course. And you got to actually go drop them in the actual, right? Because there's a lot of like, what's it called? Self-reflection needed in education. You could just do labs and put your head down and do stuff and never actually learn anything. I tell you guys that all the time. So, yeah, Het likes Wix. The only time I've ever seen Wix used in all my life is my college used to make my students do it.
And that version is using a thing called semantic versioning. So if you've never heard of semantic versioning, I would go over.
Man, that guy's super nasally. Who is that? That's me. Anyway, so that's all the recorded stuff that's already there. And one other thing to show you guys is if you, I tell people all the time, if you join our Discord and then you just want to leave like a cartoon villain, I'm okay. But you can at least hit this button right here, and it'll turn it into one giant printable PDF. Right? And you can do, how many pages are there? Hold on, it should say custom. Oh no, it doesn't. Hold on. We can go down to the bottom here. Yeah, and then it'll show, the whole thing. And I think this thing will tell you how many pages it would try to print to. But you can print it out as a PDF if you guys want. Oh, nice, laughing. Yeah, I didn't do anything cool like that in the Army. I was a infantryman. So I didn't get any cool skills in the Army infantry. I had the top percentile for my ASVAB, and then I'm colorblind. And they were like, well, you're colorblind and you're blind. So here's a couple of waivers to get in the infantry. Oh, you did MC map. Okay. Well, if you're going to do that, by the way, if you're going to start Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it might be good to start after your college, especially if you want to focus on college. Although, I mean, some people are pretty fanatical. Most of my friends that are more intellectual about things tend to go further in the sport. I kind of like, and to not be like overly silly about it, but this is kind of how I think about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because I've been doing it so long. And also as a guy who, rolls dice and plays games like that and stuff, right? Like we have a whole wall here at the House of Games. The way I think of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a lot of kind of like how D&D is. So if any of you guys ever played Dungeons and Dragons, it's super easy to roll a warrior. And that warrior will just come out and chop the heads off of goblins from the start, and it's just going to be a super bloody bloodbath type game, right? But then you go and you start with a mage, and that mage shoots like one magic missile that's like a 1d4, and it's like the worst experience ever. But in the end game, he levels cities, right? And that warrior is still just swinging around like maybe a slightly bigger axe than he started with, and doing probably a little more damage to single targets, but that mage is like leveling whole cities. And that's kind of how I think like of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where like the really strong athletic guys do really well up front, but then once it gets near the end, the guys that like were more analytical and more smart about how they played and like actually learned what they were doing, they tend to just be much more longevity in it. So that's another aspect of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that people like, is it's kind of, there's a very deep intellectual component to it as well, not just the the fact that we are folding people, we're folding people's clothes with them still in it. And all right. Anyways, what am I gonna do here? What am I working on? We were doing this the other day. We were talking about compute and data security, and I got through a bunch of this. I got down into this section yesterday. Actually, I only got to this section before I had to stop, so we could just start this over if you guys wanted to talk about one of my old topics here. You got hit with ads? Gonna take off? Yeah, I appreciate you coming by. I appreciate you dropping your community. I tell people all the time, I might not be your favorite, right? Like, Laughing may be your favorite, but I could be your second favorite if he's not around. You can always just drop a like if you guys want. You're always welcome to hang around. X-Shun, you said a Het versus Treasure match. That's funny. Treasure's over in Japan now. We're never going to see each other now. When he was in Canada, he was at least close enough to go visit. Yeah, the Alpaca, Rel 10's released. Yeah, Rocky 10's released too. Yep. Yeah, we can go look at that. Yeah, they had Rocky 10 announced too. Yeah, well, because Rocky's obviously right behind. Yeah, look, 9 days ago. Have they released it yet, though? Yeah, I saw this the other day. Yeah, so it looks like the image isn't out yet. That's awesome. They're running Mattermost. I used to run Mattermost with my brother over at AAA back in the day. They don't run it anymore, but we used to. That's interesting. Yeah. I saw that they were dropping some older stuff. Yeah, I saw that they were dropping some older stuff. Yeah, that makes some interesting stuff. Yeah, I saw that coming around. Did they update it here yet? They keep all the delay days on there too. That's awesome. All right. All right. Guys, we should probably find somebody to raid out. I thought I was going to stick on all night, but I think I've run out of a lot of stuff to do. I mean, we could keep talking about this stuff, but this is all recorded already too. So if anybody needs any of that stuff, it's all out there. It's all part of the Discord too, which again, Discord's always free. You guys are always welcome to hang out down there. Let's go see if we can find somebody to raid over on the Twitch side. On the YouTube side, I got nothing for you, unfortunately. But let's see if we can raid somebody on the Twitch side. Find somebody to hang out with. Running Man's on, Spooky Loop's on, Triple Jump Games. We normally raid Triple Jump Games. What's he doing? He's developing a Godot cellular autonoma game. Autonoma? Yeah, I don't know. Automata. I don't know what that word is. I think that's a made-up word. Let's just go down there. Our raid message is always do all the Linux. So if you guys want to do all the Linux, you can. And I appreciate you guys coming by. I will see some of you guys later on this weekend. All right. Take care.